Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati.
Hare Krishna, welcome back. We are continuing our Bhagavad-gita series, and this is the second chapter, Bhagavad-gita as it is. Chapter 2, where we start. The Bhagavad-gita is summarized here, and we will learn a lot about the soul, but also this is the entrance to Bhagavad-gita's philosophy. I will read text 15. I will start with the Sanskrit. Yang hina vyatayantyete purushang purusharshabhab samadhukka sukhang dhirang somrityatvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So that's the translation, and I will read the purport, the commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order sannyasa, is a painstaking situation, but one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyasa order of life in spite of all difficulties. So anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization, that is maybe not the first step. Maybe we don't have a steady determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization, but at least we can have the determination to be serious enough with spiritual life that we don't give up immediately. We at least practice until we do gain some level of realization. Liberation here is spoken of liberation. That person is certainly eligible for liberation. Liberation, there are different, types of liberation. We have the liberation that means you realize you're not this body. There is a liberation where you achieve the same planet and the same bodily form as Vishnu. And the liberation where you're eligible to enter into the association of Krishna directly. And all of those are liberation in the context that we become freed from the entanglement, freed from the bondage to this material body, this material world, this, repeated birth and death in this world. And that is a high goal. And therefore, it does require some determination, naturally. And then we're speaking about the order of sannyas. One who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order in life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships, to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Yes. So we are hearing different things here that take determination. The order of sannyas, it's the fourth stage of life for a man who is practicing this spiritual lifestyle. We start off as students, celibate students, and at a certain age, when we are done with that, there we live a simple life, focusing on knowledge, and so on. Then we can enter into the grihastha life, where you have a family, you have material duties, you have so many things to perform, and you also have so much. You have so much. That is the stage of life where you have things, where you have duties, but also enjoyment, also relationships, so on. Then you start to tone it down. If you have children, they grow up. You may have still a relationship within the family, but you're more renounced. You start to more focus on your spiritual life and to, tone down the involvement with your sense enjoyment. And sannyas is the fourth stage, and it is really not for everyone. It is said in this age of Kali, to take sannyas is very difficult, and sometimes it becomes a show. Sometimes you find people who are dressing up as sannyasis, but who are actually not renounced in their mind and not renounced in their activities. And therefore it's better to be an honest person and live according to your own level of spiritual faith and activity. And Arjuna was certainly not a sannyasi, he was a kshatriya. He had another sort of required determination to take up his duty seriously. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage. So, when we begin our spiritual life, we do not start with, we don't start in the end. It's just like when you learn swimming, we do not recommend that you jump in the sea somewhere from a boat without having any safety precautions. You start on a low level where, if you fail your swimming, you can put your feet back on the ground and you'll be all right. So in spiritual life, we start to build that, the real strength in our spiritual life is our faith, but we cannot just decide, I have this faith. The sannyasi, he gives up his material relationships, he gives up his ownership to things in this world, he gives up his plans for material prosperity or security even, and he's able to walk out the door without knowing if he has another door to walk into in the night. He doesn't put aside. Traditionally, and as a sannyasi, you can live by begging. You beg enough for today. You do not save anything for tomorrow. If you have more, then you will distribute it and share it. So that level of faith cannot be artificial, because then it creates a great disturbance in life. If you don't have that level of faith, better you have a home and a job and your things under control that you can share with others. Because if you're a beggar who is desperate and hopeless and very scared, and you roam the streets, this does not increase your spiritual life, and it does not help anybody else either. So we build up our faith gradually. Arjuna, though, he was already coming from a family where you have these spiritual traditions, when you have this knowledge, when you have this practice since a long time. He's expected to already have that sort of ability to have a single-minded focus, ability to control the mind, ability to hold on to his duties. A sannyasi, similarly, he has built up this over a lifetime. But that lifetime, we're already in the lifetime. So wherever we are in the lifetime, we want to start to build that level of determination and faith. We don't want to artificially throw ourselves in the deep end, and then maybe someone else will have to come and pull us out of the water again. No, we want to start our spiritual life in a way that we are able to maintain. But we want to start it, and we want to also look ahead. So we realize that eventually we can be able now to have the faith that our faith will grow, because this is a practical process. And we can also learn step by step and be inspired step by step how to do that. And here we can understand that a person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So we can understand this liberation. Of course, a devotee of Krishna, the ultimate goal in a devotee's life is not to gain liberation, it is to please Krishna. But it's connected, because if we're not liberated, if we are too strongly attached, if we are too much anchored in a bodily life, a conception of life, then it becomes very difficult to put that, pleasure of Krishna above our own security and plans and desires. So those two things go hand in hand. When they stop going hand in hand, then we rein it in and we bring it back and we say, no, devotional service is not about liberation. Liberation is just, a side effect, what comes about when a person develops pure love for Krishna. But in the beginning of this process, a little bit interchangeable concepts. If we don't have a peaceful mind, if we don't have a certain detachment, if we don't have a certain, freedom of fear. Faith is freedom of fear. If we still fear, if I don't work, how will I put food in my mouth? Well, then better to work, yes, but to connect with Krishna, more and more. But certain persons, as a kshatriya, is supposed to already be strong and focused enough to go out to protect his people by fighting the attacker. A sannyasi is supposed to already be strong enough to be peacefully able to give up all the other attachment in this world and simply accept the renounced order in order to give, like Lord Chaitanya here, we will hear more of him. He's Krishna himself. He appeared on this world 500 years ago, and he had no need to take sannyas. He did not have any attachment in this material world. But he found, when he was going about and bringing Krishna consciousness to others, then some people very happily accepted that, and some did not. The intellectuals, the students, they would mock him. They would not take him seriously. And Lord Chaitanya, he didn't feel a specific need to be respected as such. But he was here to give us Krishna consciousness, and then he found certain classes were unable to stop and listen. So he took sannyas, and in that culture everybody listens to sannyasi, but he also accepted all the, all the renunciation, all the detachment that comes with that role. So we hear here about those duties, those roles in life that demand a high level of determination and strength. But even whatever level we are on, we can improve our level of peacefulness, of contentment, and of success. And as aspiring spiritualists, it is part of the process to also become freed from the bondage to this material existence, which of course is an aspect of liberation. But we are never interested in liberation for its own sake. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam